Hey guys, it is 12:51 in the afternoon. Um, and I basically I went to bed at it was like 8:30, and I ended up I just ended up falling asleep at I think it was like 9:30. Woke up at 2, and then ended up watching the latter part of it just happened to be that that Kumi stream was from like from 12 to like 3 or 4 or something. I think it was 4. So I watched until the end, and then I fell back asleep until 12. Um Technically it was like 11:50 or something. But yeah, I so I've only really been awake for like an hour. Um I and I ended up taking a shower, and man, I don't know. I have to talk to the other people that live here to find out like the optimal time to take a shower. Um, I didn't even realize, but I think one of the people were taking a shower as I was like trying to like prepare for a shower, and as soon as I realized that, I just turned off the water and waited until they were done. Um, Also, it was incredibly cold. um, I Sorry, my right ear is like suddenly having like a, what's it called? It was like ringing for a second there, like a low ring. Okay, sorry. So yeah, I basically did that, and yeah, I just like I, I don't know if like I could tell that there was a little bit of warm water in the very beginning. So I'm assuming that the other people living here have figured out a proper schedule to make sure that everyone kind of has um, warm water when they it doesn't have to be like you don't want it to be scolding, especially when it's like so hot out, because yeah. So my strat um, was to turn off the water and like get myself all like shampoo, then wash off the shampoo, then conditioner, body wash, all of that before I turn the water back on. So that worked out really well. Uh, I But I still want to like figure out the best time so I don't conflict with them. Um, so yeah, I just always seem to miss them. Uh, I think I don't know if they both cook. I think there's two people here. I don't actually know. I know one person's here for sure. I'm not sure about the other because I've never seen the other. So, um, but yeah. So I I feel more human that I've had a shower, because I basically was just walking around yesterday with um, post sitting in a plane for 12 or 14 hours. I was like 12 hours because the other plane that I took on the first time, it was like, or the first leg, it's like an hour and a half of just sitting in there. So, I was already like sweating before I even got on that first plane. And then I was drenched in sweat several times yesterday when I was walking around. So, which I am aware that that is just going to be how I'm going to be when I'm outside. So, um, I did get some sunscreen, SPF 50 sunscreen. Um, I also ended up getting the paper towels and the conditioner for my hair. I have no idea if I got the right shampoo and conditioner, to be honest, because I didn't recognize any of the brands. Which, in retrospect, that makes sense. I probably should have done some research before I got here. Um, I can still do research, so it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. But now that I kind of have shampoo and conditioner, like my hair feels fine. It feels nice. So I don't know. I'll just leave it be. Um, but yeah, so in about an hour is the quiet time from 2 to 4. So I think I want to go get food before the quiet time. Um, Man, I feel very like it was hard for me to wake up because I was deep in the like recovery tank of like sleeping. I definitely needed that because I had I'm effectively trying to catch up on 2 nights of sleep, not just the one, because the one it kind of rolled in where I got 3 hours of sleep and then I went to bed at 8:30 or 9. Then I went to bed, like I fell asleep, woke up, watched a little stream, and then went back to bed. So I mean, I probably slept like 6. I don't know, like 12 or 14 hours. So it's still like not enough sleep, but um, tonight I should be able to do a more normal like hour of like getting in bed by like 10, falling asleep by like 11 or 12, waking up at around 8. Then, I'm like synced up with the quiet time hours. Um, and then, yeah, just like trying to interact in the morning to see like either that or the evening. I don't know when uh, when they're going to show up. So, just whenever I interact with them. But overall, I'm feeling much better. Like, just, I feel a lot more me. I was kind of just in like running on fumes, which is, is what it is. Um, anyway, so I kind of want to talk about some things that I've been thinking about. I actually wrote it down. Um, So I'm here, and one of the first things that I wanted to do is create some very rudimentary routines that I can do on a daily basis that I can kind of do regardless of where I am. So whether it be here or, you know, whatever country I travel to next, um, I think the plan is to get some basic routines. Um, I also want to do the writing. Uh, I thought about like why am I like waiting, and I don't know. It just doesn't make sense for me to wait out some invisible thing that I know is going to happen in its own time. And I can't I can't just wait and put my life on hold. Now, obviously I haven't, but when it comes to the writing, I kind of have. Um, and so I think getting the writing, just doing at least 1,000 words, trying to do 2 or 3,000 words, letting it kind of flow. I know the foundational stuff of what I want the novel to look like. And yeah, I think that I think it's important for me to be doing the writing. So I'm going to be doing the writing. Um, I'll do that during the quiet hours. So I'll get food, I'll come back, I'll do the writing, and yeah, I really liked the sandwich that I got um, from so the other people that live here. I don't know a good word. Like they're not. I mean, they're technically roommates, but they're not like roommates in the traditional sense because it's like we're not like long term living buddies. Um, maybe that doesn't matter. I just call them roommates. But anyway, regardless, they have a stack in the very front, um, next to the door, of like different places to go and get food that are close. I think it's close. Either that or it's like you can potentially like call in and get it delivered or something. I'm not too sure on the specifics, but regardless, it was very handy. They're very smart in the way they've set everything up, where it's like, okay, they got all the writing to let you know, like for an example, in the shower, make sure to open the the window when you're done showering. It's a little sticky note on there. Great, like boom, done. I don't know how open I'm supposed to have it, so I opened it as far as I could. Um, um, the quiet hours, I've been doing my best on that. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to not disturb the end kind of goal. Whenever, at least for me, whenever I'm in a situation where there are other people, like I'm living in a like shared environment, is to just be respectful and to make sure that you know whatever rules are there, I'm in their space because you know they're they've been living here much longer, and so of course, I want to make sure to follow whatever rules that they've set down that just work for them. Um, and it's just common decency. Um, so I think I've been doing a good job so far. Um, in terms of what do I actually need? Well, I'll say first of all, that sandwich place is probably going to be a go-to for me. Um, it's like €8 to get a really good sandwich. Um, it's good. Which, yeah, let me do the math here. Uh, yeah, so it was like $9 for a sandwich. And I'll say it was surprisingly filling. It had salmon on it. It was one of the more expensive sandwiches. It had salmon on it and like this really good, like they had a nice sauce on it. They had a bunch of vegetables. It was a very good sandwich. The bread was great. So again, like W to the other people living here, like they figured out some really good places to go. Um, there's like a kebab place that I saw that I wanted to try. Um, yeah. So food wise, I'm working on it. But I do think the sandwich place, I'm gonna try a lot of their different sandwiches. They also do burgers, and I'm sure their burgers are good. I just don't like, you know, I'm not. I haven't really eaten many burgers in general, even when I was back in the U.S. So it's not that I don't like them. I just kind of I feel like there's so many other foods I could have. So yeah, but the sandwiches, honestly, like so good. Um, and again, I'm sure that their burgers are also good. But yeah, um, I also want to try to pronounce the sandwich. My goal going there next is to pronounce the sandwich correctly, or at least as correctly as I can. So I'm gonna. I have a picture of the part of the menu that I want to like order everything from, and so I'm gonna plug it in, listen to people or listen to Google Translate say it, and then try to do it. So yeah, um, so that's my goal is to at least say the sandwich correctly that I'm ordering. Um, I think I also want to figure out the. I do want to figure out the phone thing because I don't know if I'm paying $10 a day to use my phone or if I'm paying $10 a month because I have the unlimited plan. I had two conflicting things. I got a text message saying it's unlimited, but it's $10 a day. So I want to say I think that's what's happening. Now the worst case scenario is they overlay both. That would suck. So I want to call, uh, speak to someone, but I'll do that in a little bit. So um, Hmm. It's 1:11. Um, I guess the other thing, so, the routine thing, I've been talking about that. I think this is where I test it. This is where I test the routine, um, whatever it's going to be, which I think foundationally, it's like I want it to be bare bones, where it's like, regardless of what my life looks like going forward, these are the foundational things that I will use to build my life from there. So it's going to be writing, it's going to be filming with you guys each day. Um, and then some sort of, I talked about doing like the Tai Chi thing. So doing some basic like Tai Chi exercises. Um, I can do like the um, push ups, and there's, I can do flies for my back, or like pulls. Maybe I can do that with like, I was thinking like, you know, the bottled water. Obviously, this is empty, but it's kind of like a dumbbell. Um, so I could just figure out something that I can use for the reverse exercise there, and then curls and uh, extensions. Those are also relatively easy to like. I probably could just use the same thing I use for the pulls. Um, so I don't know. I'm It's still in the works there, but Tai Chi for sure. And then I do want to spend a decent amount of time. Maybe I'll use part of the silent time to do this, sitting and just meditating. I know this is going to sound really bizarre, okay? I haven't ever been someone who has meditated consistently every single day for like long periods of time. The way I tend to meditate is I would let my intuition just kind of tell me, now we need to meditate. And sometimes that's a couple times a day. Sometimes that's once or twice in a like 3 or 4 day period. Um, so I would be meditating pretty often, but it wasn't super structured. Um, and I don't think it has to be structured, but I figure, you know, just testing out to see like how does it feel to have, meditational structure, because I've done it the other way where it's been very like fluid. So just giving just a little bit of structure and seeing what happens. I also want to reduce the amount of overall screen time. Um, I was listening. It's kind of funny because it's screen time, but I was listening to a reading, and something that someone said in this reading was removing addictions, food addictions, addictions when it comes to like different activities or whatever. Because, I've been stripping down, like, and purging all of the, like, physical and mental stuff. And I think one of the things that has been very consistent is being on my computer a lot. Now, obviously, posting onto YouTube every day, yeah, I'm still going to be on the computer. Um, Typing and like doing some writing on the computer, again, still going to be on the computer. But I do think that there's a difference between that, which is effectively work. Um, I say it's work. It's not. It doesn't feel like work, even though like I am putting consistent content out. But again, it's more of like I know that this is part of how I do things. So yeah, but I'm talking more about the YouTube, like just watching a bunch of different random videos or whatever. That's kind of the stuff that I'm talking about. Even like the streams. I think it's okay to watch streams. I think it's okay to watch videos, but I think there's a difference between doing that a little bit and then mainly, focusing on the experience here and now versus, I don't know, just like basically getting too wrapped up in just whatever, rabbit hole I want to go down. It is an addiction. I mean, I can tell because it's like even when I'm trying to go to sleep, I'll like put something in my ear to like listen to it. So I thought about this last night, and so I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not doing that tonight. So I didn't put my headphones in, and I just fell asleep without it, and it was fine. Everything worked out well. Um, and so I think part of it is also like um, there being a kind of like fear around not having enough stimulation. If it like, I don't know if it's like a mental stimulation or if it's some sort of like visual stimulation or whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know. There's something there. So I'm attacking it at its source, which is what I know it's the YouTube stuff. So so I think what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna see about basically, aside from me doing this and writing, which with writing I do like to have some like basic background music when I'm writing. It helps me get into flow, so I think that's fine. Um, but it's like there's a difference between just listening to background music, which isn't really like intrusive, versus like putting on a YouTube thing on like a second monitor um, while I'm writing. Like that's first of all that never worked for me. But second, like no. Um, so I think that's my plan is to detox from too much screen time. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to see about. I'm not going to do the just no screen time aside from the work stuff. Um, that's what old me would have done. And it was very much an all or nothing thing. Now, I think instead, I'm going to try and figure out an amount of time that I want to limit myself to and then try and stick to that. I think that's a more balanced approach because it's not, that is something that I enjoy doing, obviously. I just think that I've overindulged. So I think planning out a proper amount of time, um, I think that's important. And so my end goal is to have all of this at about like 4 hours or less. So like the Tai Chi might only be like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Um, Same with like the workout stuff. Um, and then the the writing is like an hour to an hour and a half. I kind of I kind of just let it be whatever it's going to be. Um, so like for the writing, I definitely go more flow state because I just lock in. So I don't like putting specific time frame on it, which I think is fine. Same thing with like these videos. Like if I'm gonna be talking, like it's 31 minutes. If I'm gonna be talking for an hour, I talk for an hour, right? If I talk for 5 minutes, I talk for 5 minutes. So, and that's worked out really well for me so far. It doesn't also that doesn't mean that I don't have structure. Like obviously, I post every day, so that is a form of structure. And I think, as I've talked about before, it's about having the balance between, on the one hand, letting myself kind of free flow, and then on the other, having some basic structure within the free flow. Um, so yeah. Um, just looking at what I wrote. I think the main key is I want this foundation to be centered on what I internally love and like feel drawn to. That's that's the most important thing. So with the writing, if I'm not feeling it after a couple days and I'm like, nope, it has to be changed some way, then I change it, right? If it turns out that the writing is not actually the thing, okay, then it's something else. I don't think that's the case. I get a feeling that writing is going to be important. Um, but I'm not. This is an opportunity for me to really, from the ground up, build out whatever I want. So, um, getting some just foundational stuff down, and then allowing for clearer, like listening to my intuition clearer, because my intuition is very strong. I just have to like be quiet and listen. Um, so that's also why the screen time, reducing the screen time, is going to be important. Allowing myself to be quiet for longer periods of time so that I can listen. Um, I also think that on a foundational level, the everything I do, I want it to come from a place of like love. Um, And I don't know. I think it's not that I haven't come from that place when I've been doing things, but I think sometimes other things can get in the way, or I can get distracted, or whatever. And so I think that's always been like a core internal thing is like the unconditional love. And so I think coming at everything I do from that place, um, and not just like actively thinking about it instead of passively letting it happen. Because I'm just like my general disposition. It comes out through my general disposition. But I I think taking a bit more of an active approach to stack on top of the passive, um, I think that'll be important. I don't know how, but yeah, I just feel like I should. So, and I don't really know what that's going to look like, but I do think that it's going to be reflected in my writing. I think it's also going to be reflected in what I talk to you guys about. Um, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, I think today what I really want to do is I want to find a restaurant that has a really good like salad or vegetable like dish that I can go to consistently in the mornings. Because I think, I've talked about how the morning dish having vegetables as the main component and then some sort of like protein, um, that's really important for me. So I'm thinking doing that and then rotating between in the evening, rotating between the sandwich and the sandwich place and like whatever else I want to try because I don't want to limit myself to one specific place. Um, I also, thinking about the sandwich again, that sandwich was a really good example of how it was pretty healthy. Like, obviously, it's still like takeout food, but all the individual ingredients were like good quality. Um, so yeah, I think figuring that out, I think that's going to be my goal is finding a vegetable dish of some kind and then making that be my staple. The important things are number one, I want to make sure that it has it's like close enough to where I can walk because I don't want to have to like take a bus or have to order it every day. Like if I can't find anything, like okay, fine, but like yeah, um, I know this is gonna sound bizarre to say, but surprisingly, I think the food is more affordable here. Uh, which I don't know, like I think about the average meal that I had back in in the U.S. and it was like by the time I'm done eating and tipping and all of this stuff, it's like, it's like $30. It's like $20. Now, to be fair, I do $10 tip, so like, um, I'm at 67%. Okay, brain rot over. So I sorry, that was just ridiculous. Um, so yeah, I think like the sandwich as an example, that sandwich would have been like $15 in the US, and it probably would have been worse ingredients. So just like, I'm not saying that's true all over. I'm saying in the places that I've gone to, that's been the case. There is definitely affordable food in the US. It's just, I don't know. The few experiences I've had so far, it seems like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll have to kind of uh, keep a kind of tally in my head of like, okay, how much are things costing, and just kind of see. Because obviously, I have to do the conversion, so that's why I did the conversion and figured out, oh yeah, it was $9.11. Um, which again, that's like, it was a decent sized sandwich. It was on like, for lack of a better term, I think it's like a ciabatta, like panini style bread. Um, I don't know the proper term for it, but it was like the square guy. But yeah, I would say, yeah, it was good. Um, anyway, you can tell that I really like that sandwich and I want more of it. I don't. I'm gonna have to figure out if the quiet time is like more like universal, or if it's like just here. Because again, I've noticed a lot of shops shut down at around that time. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, okay, so shower. I'm gonna actually write this down. So shower time. The veg dish. More morning routine. Of okay. Um, I also definitely need to. I just have like everything is just splayed out, living out of the suitcases right now. So I want to. Oh right, I gotta figure out uh, laundry. That's another thing I gotta ask. Is I gotta do laundry soon. I'm kind of running out of clothes. I have another 2 days, so it's like it's not. I'm not in an absolute rush to do it, but I need to figure out what the deal is with laundry. Um, so yeah, assuming that the one guy makes food, just I don't know if it's like if you're not supposed to like interrupt or talk to people while they're like making food here. I don't know. I assume it's probably fine. So, or at least maybe next time I hear them or whatever. Um, okay, so I got that. Um, I gotta go out and brave the heat. It is 94 right now, and it's gonna be. This is the coldest it's gonna be. uh, it's gonna be like 100 for the next few days. Which, I want to see. So I'm bringing up the forecast here. Yeah, 11. Wow, 11 was like the hottest. Oh my gosh. Wait, 12? 12 was 97. Interesting. Okay, so early morning is pretty cold. I say cold. I'm surprised that I don't know. I feel like 7 a.m. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. Tomorrow. Yeah, it's like 12. That 12 to 4. That's like that's the danger time where we're at like really high temperatures. Technically, it extends to like 6, 12 to 6. So if I can kind of plan around that, I think it's going to be really hard to go and do things if it's not really early. So I'm kind of wondering if I can just like, I guess I just don't know. Yeah, like I'm looking and I don't think it's going to be smart for me to go out and like be a tourist on these few days that are over 100 degrees. Now, to be fair, it doesn't look much better next week. Next week, it looks like it's going to be like 98, 99. So I don't think I should let the heat completely scare me from doing things. Um, but I do think I have to plan around, like, it's that 12 to like 4. That's the like time that it's that hot. And then on either sides, I think maybe that's why there's like this lull. Is like, yeah, the businesses are like, yeah, everyone is staying away from the sun or something. I don't know. Um, anyway, I'm gonna go do a thing. Maybe I'll just get a sandwich and look for veggies later in the day. Um, okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey guys, it is 9:59. Um, so man, today has been a great day. So I ended up running into one of uh, the tenants here, and I don't know, he was really nice. We ended up chatting from like 2:30 or 3:30 until like 10 minutes ago. Um, and yeah, we just talked about everything. Um, I had a great time chatting, and yeah, I just like I kind of saw one of his like we talked about everything basically. A conversation just I felt like we could just keep talking forever. um, which I just love when that happens. You can hear that my voice is a bit like uh, a bit like shot because I've been talking for so long. But I would do it again. It was totally worth it. So yeah, if I'm a bit quieter than usual, that's why. Also, I'm trying to be quiet for the evening. Which, by the way, the I found out that the 2 to 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Those are actually the building codes, not just this specific place. So it's really about just making sure to be like a responsible human being and not to like play loud music or like do yelling or whatever. Um, which is like, oh, okay. So that's a load off. I also learned a lot of information. I'm gonna have to parse it over the next like day or two. But I got a ton of huge valuable information. We added each other on Discord, and he's been showing me like the different food stuff. I ended up ordering some food on an app that he showed me, which was great. Um, Super happy. Like I don't know, he's awesome. He's very friendly. And yeah, um, we we ended up going through the like the war effectively on consciousness and like how much of a struggle it is to really keep resistance so that you can sharpen your intellect, sharpen your problem solving skills and all of this other stuff. I'm not going to rehash the whole conversation, but like yeah, it was a great convo. And I learned a lot. So, yeah. I think we're going to potentially do a movie. I think the new Spider-Man's coming out, so we might watch that in the weekend. So that'll be cool. Um, he's also a computer science major. He's just about to finish, so that's really cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We were talking a lot about like I don't know, just the different. I found out so like one thing that I among many is like for some places it's better to rent a car, and you can actually rent a car relatively cheap here. Um, they'll put a hold on your account, and then basically like there's a whole series of things, but basically you can like go through a different app to get the insurance part of the coverage. So you can pay maybe like $100 and then get like a $500 deductible hold. And then if anything happens in the car, there's this other insurance that you can use, and then they'll pay you back whatever the amount is that you had to pay from your deductible. Um, so that's really cool. That's like it's a little thing to like so you may pay $100 and then you may pay like 150 for like insurance instead of 500 or 300 or whatever. Um, but yeah, he was talking about a bunch of different places in Italy that were like really cool. I'm big on nature, and he was talking about like northern Italy has so many beautiful spots. Um, and so now I'm like, ooh, I got to go to like northern Italy. That sounds awesome. Um, the He showed me some of the pictures he took in there, and it's like picturesque, like edited. It looks edited. That's how good the pictures look. But it's just from his camera. Um, so it's like, okay, I gotta go there and take some really cool walks. Like, hell yeah, that sounds great. Um, but to go up there, he was talking about how um, I should rent a car because it may only cost me like $400 or $500 instead of 1,000 or 1,500 to go up there. And so it's like, yeah. Also, I found out that planes are actually cheaper than the train um, in Europe. And it's like, we don't know why. But apparently I don't know, I guess there's another monopoly in um, the US when it comes to plane prices where they're just jacked up. Um, but yeah, which it's also very interesting that like the plane ride from um, from the US to Europe was also cheap for me. I don't know if I caught like a special deal or whatever, but it was like really cheap. And but he was talking about like, yeah, like you can do like 40 or 60 euros for some of these like plane trips to different areas. Um, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cheap. That's crazy. So I'm going to have to rethink the train thing. Like, of course, I want to do the picturesque train thing across some part of Europe, but I think I want to pick a very specific route to do that instead of just do trains on everything. But he did say that in country trains are good. Out of country trains are more expensive if you go from one country to another country, and that's where the planes come in. So, and obviously, sometimes it could be that the train ticket is cheaper. He also said that this was good to have for like when I'm on a bus or a train. It's just a layer of protection. Like everywhere else, most of the time, when you're not jam packed next to people, just basic street safety is all you need. And it's like, yeah, I kind of knew that that was going to be the case. Um, so yeah, again, it's like using your discernment. um, there's a ton of food places I want to like go and eat now, and part of me is like, maybe I'll stay longer in Italy. I don't know if I'm going to specifically stay here longer. I could. It's potential that if I was to book, I could book an extra like week or two. Um, so it's something I'm keeping in mind. But yeah, so far so good. Um, I kind of get the feeling that if I'm going to be going to different parts of Europe, I think I'm probably just gonna like stay. Like for an example, it sounds really cool to go to northern parts of northern Italy and just stay there for a few days. But there's a big but. Um, Depending on what part of northern Italy I go to, um, it's possible that it's like, okay, you're in a really expensive town that is surrounded by like cool scenery. And so getting to the town is easy, but then once you're there, everything's really expensive. So I don't know. Well, I'll have to like suss things out a little bit more. Um, but yeah, so I think that's the plan. I briefly met the other roommate. She seems nice. I think she's just like busy doing whatever she's doing. So either like getting off work or whatever. So
We didn't really have much time to chat, but um, yeah. So I think again, as usual, day one of wherever I end up, I'm freaking out a little bit. Day two, I'm grounded, and things turn out to be like this is the perfect spot for me to be. So no surprise there. Or I guess it's a surprise, but it's a like pleasant surprise rather than it being like whatever. So um, I don't know. I did talk about. I figured out the shower thing. The trash. Apparently, there's like a specific trash day. So I think I'm on Mondays is when I take out trash. So what they do is they do a rotation on the doors. So every day that you are here, you'll be in the weekly rotation of like you check the trashes if they're if some of them are full or some of them are not full. If they're full, you take them out and then you replace the bag, and it's just right across the street. So that's not too bad. So that seems very democratic and like very. It's like it's the least friction because then it's like you don't feel like you're singling someone out for trying to take the trash out multiple times, and it's a whole thing, right? Um, they do separate um, their paper and their plastic. Um, they do like glass, um, metal, paper, plastic, and then food waste. And so that's how they do their trash. I don't know where the like. I guess basically everything fits under those categories. So yeah, I guess that works. Yeah. Also, tomorrow. I'm gonna definitely go and get some fruit from. There's like a large convenience like grocery store, and so I'm gonna get some fruit. That'd be nice to just have because apparently the fruit here is like really good. Um, as I suspected, most food here is just like healthier in general. Their ingredients are better. They get sourced from a place that has like really good regulations on like all of the different stuff. So I talked about like the good and the bad when it comes to America from my perspective, and yeah, I mean it's like I still think America's a great place to live. I just think that there are a lot of traps you can fall into, and it's really hard to eat healthy there. And what I mean by that is not at a baseline, you can just get fruits and veggies and like some meats, and you'll be doing better than probably most people because you're doing whole foods. But whole foods isn't really enough when you start doing the research because you realize there's like microplastics, um, there's pesticides that are like really bad for you. There's it's like you got to know the specific stores. So it's like, okay, I'm going to a special Whole Foods store that is like local farmers, and that's great. And then that, okay, cool, it's coming from the local farmers. They don't pesticide. The produce may look worse, but that's because you're getting food that's coming from a place where it's like, you know, that there's no pesticides. And that's worth way more than just going to the supermarket and just getting whatever, right? Um, so anyway, aside from that, uh, I have a list of like different places to go, um, and I don't know. I'll I'll have to kind of I'll have to just see where things end up on when I'm gonna do what. Because the next couple days is gonna be 100. So, which to be fair, today was 96, and I literally was just inside most of the day where it was very hot. Um, it was probably 90 plus inside. So, I mean, I have the sweat to prove it. It's like, and this is not the only place. It's like everywhere on my shirt, especially on my back. Um, but yeah, so I ended up eating. I ordered some pizza. So he recommended basically ordering like two full pies. They're not they're not the huge pies that you would think you would get from like other like in America or whatever. They're a bit smaller. They're like larger than a mod pizza. A Moz. They're larger than a mod pizza, but they're smaller than like the large size for I mean, maybe they're equivalent to a large size, like normal large, not like extra large or like gargantuan size or whatever the other sizes are. But I could tell when I was eating it, it's like all the ingredients. Oh my gosh, the the crust was so good. It was like I was just eating bread, like really good bread. Um, so yeah, the pizza was just awesome. Um, and I don't know. I'm obviously things aren't turning out the way I expected, but in a really like great way, where it's like surprises. Um, and yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm really tired, and I don't want to talk too long. My throat's already kind of like just feeling rough. Um, so I'm gonna drink some more water. I'm probably gonna get another slice or two of pizza, um, and then yeah, because I have like half the pizzas left. Um, So effectively, I ate like half of each of the pizzas, um, and that did fill me. But like that was at like 3:30 or 4 or whatever. It's really cool to have an app that I can use to order. Um, they have it kind of is similar to DoorDash in the structure. Like it has the same like backbone almost, um, but the charges are way different. Like DoorDash just fucks you. Like you're ordering a $20 meal, it's gonna be at least $40 or $50. Um, but with this app, it's like, oh, there's a little surcharge and there's like distance charge, but they're all capped, so you don't. It doesn't cost too much. Um, so yeah, but overall, I don't know. I've just it's been great so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the future. I'm gonna see about an international license. I'm not gonna do it today. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. But like, it's possible that I could get it here before I leave. And if I do, that means I'd have a car potential. Like I could potentially rent to like those more remote places. Um, so I don't have to pay like a gazillion dollars to go there. Um, and sometimes public transportation just doesn't get there. So um, so yeah, we'll see what happens. It's AAA, by the way. It's really funny. AAA is actually the site that you go to get your international driver's license. So apparently, I can just like email them my like form or like fill a form out online, and then they mail it to me. And it takes however long it takes. I'll see if there's like an expedited thing that I can do. I'm sure there will be something. Um, so, and that's where it's like, okay, maybe it would be worth it to stay an extra week or two if it means getting the international license, which I don't know. I'm assuming it would allow me to drive in certain parts of Europe. I don't know about every part of Europe. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. So, and to be fair, I don't necessarily know if I want to drive in every part of Europe. Um, it having access to potentially a car would be nice. Um, because I just didn't even I thought it was a pipe dream. But no, it's actually a lot easier to get it than I thought. So the main thing is I'm gonna have to really min max when I use um, the credit card. So I don't know. Um, we'll see. But anyway, I'm gonna go. Have a good night. I'll see you all tomorrow, and I don't know. I'm looking forward. I'm getting hyped. I'm I'm feeling the groove. So we'll see what happens. All right. Bye.